Well, hi, all my friends. You could find anything you want on Google. So remember I was mentioning those stamps. They're called green stamps, and they were made they were distributed from the 30s to the 80s. And you could buy, so you'd buy something to give you like a certain amount of stamps. Then you'd put them in a book, and depending on how many books you had or whatever, then you could purchase things with this book of stamps. And they would have all kinds of items in this like store thing. They'd have a counter, they'd have the items, well, at least this place we went to had the items behind the counter, and sometimes in the store they would say how many books you would need. And so my mom would purchase things from that from the green stamps. Anyway, just kind of a neat memory, you know, and it is what we did because we couldn't afford a lot. And like I said, my mom would do everything she could to you know, make sure we had food on the table. And you know, we didn't have a lot, but we were happy. We played, and you know, we'd play outside and come home, and we always had something. And my mom would cook, you know, for us. And you know, so one of those economy meals is using bologna. Anyway, we are in the book of Ezekiel, chapter 30, and this is talking about the desolation of Egypt and her helpers. So we stopped at at the end of verse 21, and so it says, "Therefore thus saith the Lord God, behold, I am against Pharaoh king of Egypt, and will break his arms, the strong and that which was broken, and I will cause the sword to fall out of his hand. I will scatter the Egyptians among the nations, and will disperse them through their countries." And it doesn't say which Pharaoh this is. Wouldn't it be interesting if it was that giant Pharaoh that they just found? Anyway, I will strengthen the arms of the king of Babylon. I will put my sword in his hand. I will break Pharaoh's arms, and he shall groan before him with the groaning of a deadly wounded man. And I will strengthen the arms of the king of Babylon, and the arms of Pharaoh shall fall down, and they shall know that I am the Lord. And when I shall put my sword into the hand of the king of Babylon, he shall stretch it out upon the land of Egypt, and I will scatter the Egyptians among the nations, and disperse them among the countries, and they shall know that I am the Lord. Chapter 31, the glory of Assyria and its great fall. And it came to pass in the 11th year, the 3rd month, in the 1st day of the month, that the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Son of man, speak unto Pharaoh king of Egypt, and his multitude, whom art thou like in thy greatness? Behold, the Assyrians was a cedar in Lebanon, with fair branches, and with a shadow wings stroud. And of a high stature, and the top was among the thick boughs. And the waters made him great, and the deep set him upon high, and her rivers running around about his plants were set out, and her little rivers unto all the trees of the field. Therefore his height was exalted above all the trees of the field, and his boughs were multiplied, and his branches became long because of the multitude of waters. What is that? Little lint. Okay, I lots of stuff this morning. Anyway, okay, and thus say, okay, so he was fair in his greatness, in his length of his branches, for his root was by great waters. And so must have been a great kingdom. Okay, so then the cedars in the garden of the God could not hide him, and the fir trees were not like his boughs, and the chestnut trees were not like his branches, nor any tree in the garden of God was like unto him in his beauty. I have made him fair by the multitude of his branches, so that all the trees of Eden that were in the garden of God envied him. Therefore thus saith the Lord God, because thou hast lifted thyself up in height, and have shot up his top among his thick boughs, and his heart is lifted up in his height, I have therefore delivered him into the hand of the mighty one of the heathen. He shall surely deal with him, and I have driven him out for his wickedness. And the strangers and the terrible of the nations have cut him off, and have left him upon the mountains. In all the valleys his branches are fallen, his boughs are broken, all the rivers of the land, and the people of the earth are gone down from his shadow, and have left him. Upon his ruin shall all the fowls of the heaven remain, and the beasts of the field shall be upon his branches, to the end that none all the trees of the waters exalt themselves for their height, neither shoot up their top among the thick boughs, neither their trees stand up in their height. All that drink water, for they are all delivered into the death, to neither parts of the earth in the midst of the children of men, with them that go down to the pit. Thus saith the Lord God, in the day that he went down to the grave, I caused a mourning, I covered the deep for him, I restrained the floods thereof, and the great waters were stayed, and I caused Lebanon to mourn for him, and all the trees of the field fainted for him. I made the nations to shake at the sound of his fall, and when I cast him down to hell with them that descended into the pit, all the trees of Eden, the choice and the best of Lebanon, all that drink the water, shall be comforted in neither parts of the earth. They also went down into the hell with him unto them that be slain with the sword, and they that were his arm, that dwelt under his shadow in the midst of the heathen. So an arm is also a power, okay? To whom art thou thus like in glory and greatness among the trees of Eden? Yet thou shalt to whom art thou thus like the glory and the greatness among the trees of Eden? Yet shalt thou be brought down with the trees of Eden to the nether parts of the earth. Thou shalt lie in the midst of the uncircumcised, and them that be slain by the sword. This is Pharaoh and all of his multitude, saith the Lord God. Chapter 32. Lamentation for the fall of Egypt. And it came to pass in the 12th year, in the 12th month, in the first day of the month, that the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, always the first. Son of man, take up lamentations for Pharaoh king of Egypt, and say unto him, thou art like a young lion of the nations, thou art as a whale in the sea. So a lion which is strong, and a whale meaning huge. Okay. Thou comest forth with thy rivers, and thy troublest the waters with thy feet, and thou foulest their rivers. Thus saith the Lord God, I will therefore spread out my net over thee with a company of many people, and they shall bring thee up in my net. And then will I leave thee upon the land, I will cast thee forth upon the open field, and will cause all the fowls of the heaven to remain upon thee, and I will fill the breast of the whole earth with thee. I will lay the flesh upon mountains, fill the valleys with thy height. I will also water with thy blood the land wherein thou swimmest, even in the mountains, and the rivers shall be full of thee. And when I shall put thee out, I will cover the heavens, make the stars thereof dark. I will cover the sun with a cloud, and a moon shall not give her light. For all the bright lights of heaven I will make dark over thee, and set darkness upon thy land, saith the Lord God. I will also vex the hearts of many people, and I shall bring their destruction among the nations into the countries which thou hast not known. Yea, I will make many people amazed at thee, and their kings shall be horribly afraid for thee, when I shall bandish my sword before them, and they shall tremble at every moment, every man for his own life, in the day of thy fall. For thus saith the Lord God, the sword of the king of Babylon shall come upon thee, and the swords of the mighty will I cause thy multitude to fall, and terrible of the nations, all of them. And they shall spoil the pomp of Egypt, and the multitude thereof shall be destroyed. I will destroy also all the breasts thereof from beside the great waters, neither shall the foot of men trouble them any more, nor the hoofs of beasts trouble them. And when I make their waters deep, and cause their rivers to run like oil, saith the Lord God, when I shall make the land of Egypt desolate, and the country shall be destitute of that wherein it was full, when I shall smite all of them that dwell therein, then shall they know that I am the Lord. This is the lamentation wherein they shall lament her, and the daughters of the nations shall lament her, and they shall lament for her, even for Egypt, for all of her multitude, saith the Lord God. And it came to pass also in the 12th year, in the 15th day of the month, that the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Son of man, different day, okay. Son of man, well, for the multitude of Egypt, and cast them down, even her, and the daughters of the famous nations, into neither parts of the earth, with them that go down into the pit. Whom dost thou pass in beauty? Go down, and be thou laid with the uncircumcised. They shall fall in the midst of them that are slain by the sword. She is delivered to the sword. Draw her and all of her multitudes. And the strong among the mighty shall break to him out of the midst of hell with them that help him. They are gone down, they lie uncircumcised, slain by the sword. As sure is there and all her company, his graves are about him, all of them slain, fallen by the sword, whose graves are set in the sides of the pit, and her company is round about her grave, and all the slain fallen by the sword, which caused terror in the land of the living. There is Elam and her multitude round about her grave, all of them slain, fallen by the sword, all gone down to circumcise in either parts of the earth, which caused the terror of the land to the living. Yea, they have borne their shame with them that go down to the pit. And they have set her a bed in the midst of the slain, with all her multitude. Her graves are round about him, all of them uncircumcised, slain by the sword. Though their terror was caused in the land of the living, yet they have borne their shame, and with them that go down to the pit, he in the midst of them that be slain. There is Meshech, Tubal, and her multitude. Her graves are round about him, all of them uncircumcised, slain by the sword, though they cause their terror of the land of the living. And they shall not lie with the mighty that are fallen of the uncircumcised, which are gone down to hell with their weapons of war, that they have laid their swords under their heads, but their iniquities shall be upon the bones, though they were terror of the mighty in the land of the living. And I'm going to stop there at verse 28. And we'll continue with one more video. Okay, take care. Any questions, any songs, any requests, anything you want me to talk about, let me know. Leave me a comment. Let me know if I'm helping you in any way, shape, or form. I love hearing from you. And you take care. I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.